university has suspended me, although I had received assurances that I wouldn't face any disciplinary measure for my efforts.
Secretary of State has the right to revoke a green card or a visa for individuals who serve or are adversarial to the foreign policy and national security interests of the United States of America.
If you made it through that quick intro, I want to thank you. You're the 1% of the 1%. Is it a privilege to be in the United States? Do green card holders have the same rights as American citizens? Or can they be deported by the U.S. government at any time for any reason?
The White House says Khalil's arrest is the first of many. And that sent protesters who say his speech should be protected as a legal resident of the United States under green card status.
Please comment down below. That's the question of this video. And I want to keep it simple and say they don't have the same rights and privileges. They are guests. And as guests, they must behave themselves.
The government takes the position that because the Secretary of State finds his dissent unacceptable or contrary to U.S. foreign policy, he can be deported.
And leading violent protests and supporting a terrorist organization should be an easy reason to deport any non-citizen from this country.
And Mahmoud Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's finest universities and colleges. And he took advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists, Hamas terrorists who have killed innocent men, women, and children. This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged in.
Currently, people on the left and the right are arguing and debating online on whether Khalil should be able to stay in the United States or be deported for his actions and participations in the Columbia University protest against Israel. I 1000% believe that Khalil should be able to be deported, stripped of his visa, and revoked of his green card. Not because he was protesting against Israel, not because he was pro-Palestine, but for the simple fact that the government has the right to do so at any given notice.
Lawful permanent residents and anybody who wants to speak out, it simply cannot be the case that you can be disappeared at night off the streets of New York City simply because the current U.S. government, the current administration at the White House dislikes what you have to say. That is, not just un-American, it's also unacceptable. And so Mr. Khalil and we will fight as hard as we need to in court to bring him home to New York City as soon as possible. And that's one of the motions that is now pending before this court. It is a motion to bring him back home and to free him so that he can fight this removal case.
Khalil's attorney attempts to fearmonger you by telling you that he was disappeared in the night, like Delta Force broke into his home and put a black sack over his head and threw him in a unmarked vehicle and sped into the darkness. I believe the proper phrasing for what happened is that he was arrested and taken to a holding facility, since he's not an American citizen. The part of all this that I least understand is why we need to have a hearing or a case or a trial, or why this even needs to be adjudicated. I think it sets an awful precedent to think that a green card holder can just defy the rules of the United States and say, no, I'm going to go ahead and try to fight this.
United States government has taken the position that it can arrest, detain, and seek to deport a lawful permanent resident exclusively because of his peaceful, constitutionally protected activism. In this case, activism in support of Palestinian human rights and an end to the genocide in Gaza. The government takes the position that because the Secretary of State finds his dissent unacceptable or contrary to U.S. foreign policy, he can be deported. As Ramzi suggested, it's largely unprecedented, save for ugly historical precedents, including the Red Scare and McCarthyism.
And demand to stay in a country that he obviously despises and does not want to be a part of and does not want to assimilate. There's plenty of people that would love to be in his place and have a green card or have a student visa. I don't think that we should be letting people stay into the country that they obviously oppose or do not like or want to see changes happen. You don't get to dictate change if you are not a citizen.
My name's Leanne Fullahan. I'm with the People's Forum. The larger context from even before this weekend, I think, is important. The DOJ has been threatening to deport students who have stood up for the Palestinian people over the past 18 months. They have been calling them pro-Hamas. They have been saying they are anti-Semitic. They have been trying to demonize the students in the face of the American public. They said to Israeli media that they intend on putting these students in jail not for 24 hours, but for years. The Columbia administration has been cracking down on the students without even provocation from the federal government. I mean, they only lasted one day before they brought the NYPD onto campus to suppress the encampment. Columbia has absolutely been part and parcel of this crackdown on the students.
To be staging protests and to be a leader in protests when you are not even a citizen of this country and you're protesting against the way the country is ran, to me is awfully disgusting. It sends a negative tone. It means that people from other countries, let's say like China or Russia, can send over young people to infiltrate our, country and try to demand changes that would make them more like China or Russia, or changes in some sort of way. And if we don't have the ability of a president, or the cabinet of a presidency doesn't have the ability to just strip that person of their green card or their visa and just say, no, you now get to go back to your country, no questions asked, no trial, no jury, no hearing, no case, you just get removed. If they do not have the ability, the power to just remove somebody that isn't even a part of this country, then we are moving backwards. We are not moving forwards. This is a disgusting situation. I don't care that he is pro-Palestine. He could have been pro-Israel and protesting and, starting violent protests and, shutting down schools and preventing kids from entering classrooms and, just being a nuisance and disrupting the university in general. We need to tell those people, no, you cannot do this. This needs to be a clear and concise delineation and let people know you cannot act this way if you are not a citizen. You shouldn't be acting this way, violent, doing all these things, even as a citizen. But especially if you are a guest of this country, you should definitely not be rioting or inciting people to riot because you don't agree with geopolitics.
My name is Murad Awauda. I am the president and CEO of the New York Immigration Coalition. It is incredibly shameful that our communities have to continue to endure under this fascist regime simply to deliver on a publicity stunt of a campaign called mass deportation. The message that they are trying to send, which is a deplorable one, is that no one is protected under free speech in this country anymore.
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, as on a visitor's visa, okay, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student, and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. So when you apply for a student visa or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason. But I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down and being complicit in what are clearly crimes of vandalization, complicit in shutting down learning institutions.
I want to make this 100% clear. I don't care if Khalil's anti-Semitic. I don't care if he's pro-Russia. I don't care if he's pro-Palestine. I don't care if he's pro-Ukraine. I don't care about any of those things. But if you are a green card holder, a visa holder, and you are championing governments, organizations, groups that are overtly anti-American or are trying to destroy the West or change the foundation of what the West is, you should not be here. You should not be allowed to be in America. You should be stripped of your visa or of your green card, whatever, and sent back to your country. If you love the politics of the country you're from, stay there. Go there, be there. But you're not going to be in America and advocate for policies or for changes or be pro an organization that is overtly anti-American. That is not in the well-being of America. That does not help America. I'm not saying that America has no criticisms. I'm not saying that America is perfect. I'm saying that the people that need to be criticizing, engaging in protests, and I do believe that protests are American, and yes, you have the 100% right to protest if your country is doing something abhorrent, something you dislike, something you disagree with. Protest. Get out there and protest. But that is reserved for American citizens. Unfortunately, if you are a resident here, if you are a green card holder, you have a privilege. You are here as a guest. Once again, you do not get to speak out against a country that is giving you whatever you're looking for that your previous country was not giving you. Just to be straightforward with you, one of my parents is a naturalized citizen and the other is a green card holder, a permanent resident of the United States. My father is a green card holder, and he knows that, or he has always said since we were young, that he would attempt to avoid getting into issues, avoid getting into problems because of the fact that he was a resident. He did not want the U.S. government to find a reason to send him back to his country of origin. So, with that being said, you need to be on your best behavior if you are a guest. To use a simple analogy or simple, just to explain things easily in simple terms, if I'm a parent and I have a home and I have my children and they have their friends over and my children know that these are the rules of the house, you cannot do X, Y, Z, and their friend is in my home and telling them, you don't have to listen to him or them, you don't have to listen to your parents. Let's go ahead and start a mutiny. Let's jump all over the furniture. Let's flip tables over. Let's create, a hospitable living environment. Let's block doors. Let's do all these things because we don't agree with the rules of your parents. Your parents should be allowing you to do, X, Y, Z. Me as a parent, I'm telling that kid to get the fuck out of my house and say, you don't dictate the rules here. You're not going to pollute my children with these idiotic ideas that it's okay to go against your own government. These people come here from another country and I don't know what their motives are. I don't know why they are engaging in these things, but you know what? I'm damn sure not going to allow it. You're going to be sent back to your parents and say, here's your child. They are trying to pollute and, engage in possibly terrorism because they are handing out, leaflets or handing out brochures or whatever of anti-American organizations. We should not allow ourselves to be destroyed from within by bad actors that come in the request of a visa or a green card. We should not be allowing these people to do these things. I'm not saying that Americans can't protest or shouldn't protest your government. 100% protest your government. I am an avid supporter of the Second Amendment where, if you have a tyrannical government and you feel like you need to stand up, do that. I am not anti that, but we are not going to let these third-party people attempt to confuse the youth of this nation to go against its own government for the explicit purpose of tearing down our government from within. But that's all the time we have for now. If you made it to the end, I 100% appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is this a awful stance? Should we be allowing green card holders to set up protests to be leaders in communities and guide people into, violent protests? I don't know. Maybe you agree. I personally don't. But go ahead, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Till next time. Later.